Okay, so welcome back to As Told by You. It's been a long time. I'm really excited to have my next guest on. Kevin Schumacher has been a associate and friend for 10 years maybe?
Yes.
Has
10
it been
years.
has it been that long? Kevin and I were members of SoCo at the same time, and we're in a little mastermind group that Greg had organized, and so we got to know each other pretty well and our businesses pretty well. And Kevin is currently sort of my go-to AI expert. So anytime I have a deep AI question, I call Kevin. So Kevin, talk to us about kind of what you're doing now. What is your current track, and how did you get there?
Sure. Well, maybe I'll start at the beginning to
Sure.
how I got there.
Yeah.
And a note to the audience, when we were in this entrepreneurship group, his nickname was Dollar Bill. I don't know how he got that, but that was his nickname.
It was the rappers gave me that name.
Okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
it's all in my association with rappers. They need you to have a nickname. It's important.
Need you to have a nickname.
Yeah.
Yes,
so.
yes. In 2016, I sold a business that I had been operating for about 18 years. I was ready to get out. It gave me some money. I had some freedom. Got to do whatever I wanted for a while. I started investing in crypto a little bit. So I learned a lot about blockchain. I had time. I dove in. I was also consulting with businesses as well, just sales and marketing strategy, things like that. Then when we went through COVID and I decided to get my MBA, while I was getting my MBA, I approached the dean about, hey, there's no blockchain. There's nothing here on AI. What's going on? How do you do that? And he referred me to, I believe, a mutual friend, Casey Whitener. Mm-hmm. She's with the Faber Entrepreneurship Center inside of the Darla Moore School of Business.
Yep.
And she's like, okay, there's a process for creating a course. We have to show demand. So why don't you put on a conference on each of these things? We'll pay for it or seed the money, and we'll make that happen. And then we can show demand, and that'll lead to courses. I'm like, that works for me. So we set up a plan to do a blockchain conference and an AI conference. And I was just dabbling in AI at this time, right? AI had just happened in November 22. And I had begun dabbling, tinkering with it. Didn't really know what I was doing yet, but I used the tool because I had extra time that most people don't have. Once I was in charge of a conference, that changed the whole ball game because I had to know what I was doing, and I got to know a lot of experts all around the region. And so I worked on finding people, inviting people, talking to them about what they're doing, why, differentiating the different tools and skills so that it would be, a unique experience. So I do that conference in December of 23, which is a year after ChatGPT launches. And then everyone comes to me and said, when are you going to do that again? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm graduating in May, so probably not going to do it again. The demand was so much, so many people reached out to me that I just started doing a monthly event where I said, hey, we're going to bring in experts. I'm going to teach you for 1 hour every month. And that became a monthly lunch and learn. And it built up over time. It was great. We get 20, 30 people every month. Well, when you have to teach something, you learn it really, really well. You have to pull it together. And so that helped me really own it. And then the things I didn't know, I'd reach out to people. For example, you came to a few of our sessions, but one of them, you learned about Opus Clips.
Yep.
I was not the one who was teaching that session.
Changed our life, man.
And it changed your agency, right? It changed how you edit everything.
Yep.
And so we had a lot of experiences like that where I'm learning while you're learning at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you lead a program like that. People turn to you, hey, will you teach my employees? Hey, will you help my business? Hey, can we have a one-on-one? And so it just kind of evolved. I was I was running a nonprofit called Create Opportunity that started right after I graduated. And I did that for a couple of years where I'm training people to be software developers and placing them in jobs. And with AI coming in, making that more and more difficult, I decided to move on from that position, which ironically just ended a few days ago.
Oh.
And I'm going through AI consulting full time.
Nice.
And it was a long story, but That's how I got here.
No, that's great. I love that. And it reminds me of there's a segment in one of Malcolm Gladwell's books. I think it might be Tipping Point, where he talks about Bill Gates and how Bill Gates got to be Bill Gates. Mm-hmm. And in the mid 70s, he was in middle school.
Yes.
And his middle school got a computer terminal that he got to connect to the mainframe.
It's the one with 10,000 hours, yes.
That's right. But also he was able to spend all the time he needed in just learning, because nobody else wanted to use the terminal, so they had no idea what it was.
That's right.
And so he just spent all this free time on a terminal in middle school. And if he had been 17 when it happened, or if he had been 9 or 10 when it happened, it wouldn't have happened.
That's right.
But because he was 13 or 14, he was right at the right spot, right? Nobody was pushing him to go to college.
At the right school, at the right time.
Just happened to be at the right time. So I think it's interesting, the story of your company's sale being where you were able to dig into these things. You had the time to dig into these things, which I think is really interesting. And I think that's where a lot of us fall short, right? Is we're not able to spend enough time to really, get familiar and learn it and stuff like that. But that one workshop where I learned about Opus Clips, and I had another one of my editors brought to me a utility called Autopod that does auto editing for podcasts inside Premiere. And so we started implementing that for hour-long podcasts. There's nothing worse. Ask any of my editors. There's nothing worse than sitting in front of a podcast for 10 hours, editing somebody's podcast. And so, all of that automation comes so quick, but I don't have a chance to really learn it. I've got to just say, okay, this works, and go adapt it.
That's right.
And so I've got to trial by fire every single time, and figure it out. So, so this is a really interesting thing too that I was thinking about. You and I think, are about the same age, or close enough. We tend to look at something like AI and go, this is what we've got to do. Yes. We have no choice. Mm-hmm. We've seen it. We've seen things, you and I probably remember a time where there were 3 channels on TV and all the news came in the paper or on television. And then computers were supposed to be the next big thing. And we were like, okay, here's the next big thing. And it happened. And when it happened so quickly that we were like, oh God, it has already happened, right?
Yes.
Phones and all of that stuff. So we're looking at AI like, okay, this is the thing that's happening, right? Mm-hmm. Not going to happen. This is the thing that's happening, right?
We're here. Yes.
What I find is that people in their 20s and teens and those guys are like, uh-oh, I may not have the capability of having a job when I get older.
That's right.
Right. And so they're like, this is the devil and I need to run away from it. And so I have these conversations with young people all the time because we work with so many young creatives. They're very concerned about this replacing them, but then also they're like, this is crazy because I've spent my whole life trying to get good at this stuff, and then it's instantly good at it, and it stinks, right?
Yes.
And if you're a copywriter, or if you're an editor, or if you're a animator, any of that stuff right now, it's got to be a weird world to live in. Where I feel like you and I are looking at it like, nope, as business owners or as entrepreneurs, we've got to do this because otherwise we're going to get trampled by it. Right. If we can master it, if we can direct it, then we won't be trampled by it.
I think there's an important point to make there. If you're in an enterprise company, I'm going to do some big picture stuff real quick.
Sure.
If you're an enterprise, your goal of the company is to grow 5 to 10% a year,
right,
and maximize profits.
Right.
And you're so big, you've already maximized your distribution channels.
Right.
So it's not like you're really going to double. Like, that's not really an option.
Right.
If you can hit your 10% growth rate, you're like, we had a great year. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not talking about Amazon and Facebook, right? We're talking about regular companies that are enterprise level.
Sure.
So your only option using AI, if I'm going to increase the average employee's productivity by 50% through AI, so some are 3x or 4x, some are only 10%, but if I average it out at 50%, and that's really good estimate across a large organization, but I can only grow 10%. I've got 40% more productivity than I need. Mm-hmm. So I've got to cut something.
Yeah.
Or I've just got people spinning wheels. Mm-hmm. But if I'm a small company, and a small company can still be $100 million, right? If I'm doing $50 to $100 million and I've got 100 employees, I can double the productivity of all those people and I can double sales. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to let people go. Right. In fact, if you are a medium-sized company right now, you have the best chance you've ever had for competing with enterprise, because you can now, with these tools, be equal to them in everything.
Yeah.
They can't beat you. You have access to every tool, and you can make things happen that you couldn't do before, whether it's in marketing, whether it's sales and automation, whatever it is. So I really think these medium-sized businesses, or if you're doing $2 million, think about if you didn't have to do all that busy work and you could say, oh, I'm just focused on growth. 80% of our time is focused on growth for every employee.
Yeah.
What happens? So I think those businesses don't lose jobs.
Right.
Not for a long time.
Right.
Because they can grow.
And then also trades and things like that, like plumbing and
absolutely
electrical and roofing. I had the roof replaced on my mom's house a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking about what is this going to be like when the Tesla robots are doing roofing. You know, you're going to be driving through a neighborhood and see 15 robots on the top of a house replacing a roof. It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting.
Yes.
This is the part where we go, oh, we're living in the future, and I didn't realize it until just now. You know?
Right.
So it's kind of crazy.
You know what's holding all that back?
What's that?
Hands.
Yes.
It's very difficult. Can figure out so much of everything else, but getting this type of dexterity, the pressure feel, it's amazing. That's the obstacle.
And even the newer robots, I've seen the little demonstrations of them picking up something tiny and handing it to somebody, and it looks so awkward. It's like,
yes, it is.
It's like a dog picked it up, like a dog picked it up with his paws, and it's not there yet.
But we have come a long way. You may remember this. About a decade ago, Japan had a nuclear meltdown in one of their facilities.
Yep.
And they had robots to go in, except there was a doorknob. And it took them 4 or 5 days to figure out how to get the robot to use and twist the doorknob.
Whoa.
And so we've come a long way from that in the past decade.
Yeah, I remember Boston Dynamics even a year or two ago, the robots were laden with a lot of like battery stuff and hydraulic stuff.
Yeah.
And this past year at CES, they're doing gymnastics and kung fu, together. And you're just like, okay, well, this is happening, and so I love the fact that it travels like that. I think it's interesting in talking about jobs and things like that. Like, I think, so my standpoint is that I want my editors in our business are what takes the most time and money, right? The editing room is a black hole, right? You just don't know how long it's going to take to get anything done. And, it takes a certain bit of like sort of specifics and creativity and all of that kind of stuff to do it. I don't want them spending time doing repetitive tasks. I don't want them spending time, picking sound bites out of a 1 hour thing or, whatever, which is stuff we have to do a lot, right? But yes. I want to, so all I'm trying to do is to make that job more efficient. I'm trying to make them do it in less than an hour versus doing it in 10 hours. And so that saves me money, which is great, but it also makes them more efficient and they can spend more time doing creative work, which is what they like doing.
And you can shoot more projects.
And I can do more projects,
because you're not maxed out by a bottleneck in editing. Yeah.
And I think, we were talking before we rolled about my friend talking about Notebook LM, right? Okay,
yes.
Go on. I thought I remembered that. He was talking about Notebook LM and how he could just type in the subject for a podcast and have it generate a podcast.
Yes.
And I feel like people can tell.
Yeah.
I feel like still at this point, people can tell it's not real.
So the first 6-8 months, and I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah.
You have a man voice and a woman voice.
Right.
That's what it is. Like
right.
You couldn't control that. They probably have improved the customization of that. It's really good. There were the pauses and the laughter.
Yeah.
They really nailed it, except the limitation of voices. You can immediately remember, oh, I remember those voices. And those are, that's the Google, Notebook LM.
Right.
So that's what makes it recognizable, I think.
Well, and I think what's the kind of supposition I have is that the more this so-called AI slop invades our media space, the more it's going to drive us back to knowing things are real. One of the things that it's been driving me nuts as a space nerd over the last week or so is the fake moon stuff that people have been posting, and it drives me crazy because like I see it and I go, oh, that's cool, and I go, oh, nope, that ain't it. That ain't it. It ain't coming from the source, right? I got to look at is this NASA posting this, or is this, space, exploration, blah, 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 and you go, wait a minute, that's not real, and it's, as it gets trickier, until the robots have silicone, suits and can, I'm not sure it's Kevin sitting there.
Right.
I have to do a Turing test to make sure that it's Kevin sitting there. We're going to crave that real stuff that's going to be less polished and it's going to be less perfect looking, and
it's so hard. So there's one solution to that hasn't really been entertained a lot yet because it is complicated. But this is where one of those instances where blockchain and AI can converge because, so let's say I'm in politics and I'm speaking. If I record my events and then I drop them to the blockchain, then there's a recorded permanent video that nobody can alter.
Right.
And so therefore I can always have the source of truth, right?
Well, and I understand the concept of that because I've heard people like you explain the concept of that. I still don't understand it.
You're talking about blockchain?
Blockchain. Yeah. I am, by all intents and purposes, a relatively intelligent person, and I do not get it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you're explaining to me advanced calculus or, quantum physics. I don't get it. And
can I do one simple explanation?
Sure.
So
I've done this exercise several times.
Take an Excel sheet. And we do the first row. And we put as much information in that first row as possible, block after block.
Yep.
Then, if we're on Bitcoin, for example, after about 9.5 minutes, that row finishes. And it's locked with an algorithmic key. And then it's tied to row 2 with another algorithmic key that's telling it, hey, I'm done and we're connected, we're a chain. And then row 2 starts filling up. And so in order to get to block 1, now I have to go through to row 1, I have to go through row 2 to get to it. And it's locked, so you can't change it. But it's transparent. I can go view everything that's on there, but it's view only. Can't change a thing in there. Does that help?
Not really, but I tell you what, do you guys understand that? Did it? Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So here's the thing though. This is really interesting. Okay. I love it for you that it's something that works. I've gotten to a point of privilege where
you don't have to.
I don't have to understand it. Right.
Yeah. I
can just let it happen. I don't have to invest in crypto because I don't understand it. Right. I can invest in mutual funds because I understand that. Right.
Yes.
I think there are just things like that in life where you just go, I don't get it, and it's not really relevant to me.
Right.
It hopefully
I don't need
won't
to burn
be.
brain cells. Yeah.
It hopefully won't be. And this was the thing that was terrifying me that Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about forever, was that NFCs are going to be the thing that everybody, and I'd go, oh God, but I'm like, I hope not. I hope blockchain is not the way that we have to buy groceries and all that stuff, because I don't understand what's going on with it. And so, I think probably all of us have that sort of like, we're really talented in one area, but not so good in the details of other things.
Right.
So what's very interesting in that dichotomy that I've found, like, I don't find very many people who are unopinionated about AI in one way or the other. It's either people like me, and you probably, that are like very, let's figure it out. We've got to integrate it because otherwise we're going to get left behind. Or it's people that just hate it. And just get my daughter on her bag has a little pin that says no AI, right? And she is just like, she will stop listening to a band if the band uses AI in a promo or a poster.
Wow.
Right? I mean,
Okay.
she's there, right?
Okay.
She considers she's an artist, right? So she wants to do animation or something like that for a living when she grows up, and she's very concerned that it's going to eliminate the need for artists. I think the dichotomy is really interesting, and there's a interesting delicate touch that you have to have when you're using it, right? When I go to ChatGPT to help me generate ideas, or I go to Claude to help me, Claude is helping me kind of crawl my website and make sure that my tags are set up in the right direction and all that stuff. And I have to have a delicate touch with that to say, I know I'm using this. I'm not replacing, my intelligence. I'm replacing my activity, right? I'm using it to kind of save me time. And as long as I'm not using it as a creative generation, and I'm just using it to save me time, I feel like I'm still in good standing, with it. What's your take on sort of the ethics of using it for things, and how far could we take it before it becomes unethical?
Well, boy, that's a good question. That's a deep one.
Yeah.
So I use AI. It does save me time, but mostly it helps me produce a better product most of the time. And I've told people this, and this is slightly changing, but before I told people it's a choice.
Right.
You can use AI to make a better quality product, and it takes the same amount of time. Or you can create AI slop and not worry about it.
Right.
I don't choose that. But from the ethical standpoint, well, we have options. Are we copying people? Right? So take art, take songs. I created some songs on Suno.
Sure.
I will tell you, I thought it was an awesome, awesome song. And my daughter even liked it. I had several, but there was one that was just killed. It was heavy metal.
Yeah.
But I showed it to a professional. And he's like, oh, that's obviously AI.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to tell.
Yeah.
Once you get used to hearing it, it doesn't matter how good you are at it. I can spot an AI song. I feel like I can spot it. And same in video. So from a creative standpoint today, there isn't a huge ethical concern because it's so obvious or subtly obvious.
For now it is, yes.
For now.
Yeah. But
let's go back 40 years, 30 years, when all cartoons, all illustrations were done by hand. And you were doing 16 or 32 illustrations per second. And you had teams of artists drawing all this up. And then computers came along and Pixar did everything animated on the computer. There was a little bit of a, hey, that's not cool. Then it's like, well, no, this is the way to do it. And no one saw that as unethical.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is too slow. We need a better way.
Yeah.
But there are still illustrators.
Yeah.
Simpsons was still done by hand in, I think, Korea or Taiwan for a long time.
All the way up, yeah.
Yeah. So there are still places for real illustrators, even though computers are excellent in illustrating.
Well, and I'll tell you in music, right? Synthesizers and sequencers.
Yes.
Sampling, things like that. When that came along in the 80s, there is a bad use of that, right?
Yes.
The auto-tune, right? Every studio uses auto-tune all the time, right? If you listen to Rick Beato, he talks about how it's ruining music because everything's in time, and everything's in tune, right? And there's
then you go to a concert and you find out otherwise.
Like, oh no, they can't actually do it, right? But I have been through these conversations, like with my parents, about sampling, about the idea that Public Enemy is making music just as much as Bon Jovi is making music at the same time. They're just doing it in different ways. And Public Enemy is reassembling pieces of music that have already been created in different ways and then putting a completely different message on it. what I find interesting about like Pixar as an example, right? Pixar didn't become popular because they were doing computer animated stuff.
Right.
They became popular because it looked very different. It was a great story. It was well delivered. It was well marketed. You had basically the lottery of animation that they had all 6 numbers, right? And so, and I think things have happened like that over the years. I don't think that's happened for AI yet. You know,
Right.
I don't think that Pixar moment has happened, right?
Right.
I don't think we would be as far along in computer animation if it hadn't been for Pixar. If it hadn't been for somebody making, you know, Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. and Cars and those movies that meant something to people outside of the technology, right? And that's where we just are not there yet. My personal experience with ChatGPT, especially, just because it was the first one I chose to use, is I just got the Pro account like a month ago, and I talk to it all the time now.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically an expert in anything in my pocket. Now,
Yeah.
is it always accurate? I don't know. Probably not. But it's encouraging. And I like the fact that it's encouraging. And I've had to tell it several times, don't be so encouraging.
That's right.
I feel like you're patronizing me, you know, and stop. It's not, every decision I make is not a good decision. Okay. Hold me to task sometimes, you know, I have it.
So, I mean, this is what I do. I do this for a living.
Yeah.
And I work with Claude. That's my preferred LLM. And I still have a huge problem with it always. It's not that it always agrees, but if I say, I don't like this, I think this is a better way, it always agrees with that.
Yeah.
And I've told it, I said, I want you to defend your ideas. But I will tell you this, and this is a step removed, is when you get an agent, a true, like, have you heard of OpenClaw?
Yeah.
So I have an OpenClaw that I run. OpenClaw will stand its ground.
Right.
It's more of a human personality. ChatGPT, Claude, they're too agreeable. And what's interesting is OpenClaw is run through Claude. That's its mind.
Right.
But its soul, its personality is built outside of that. So it's not always agreeable.
Unfortunately, I like the reinforcement from ChatGPT, so it's kind of weird. It's like I have been using it to track calories over the last month since I got the Pro account. And what I'm doing is, and I'm not doing it quite as much the last couple of days, but I will take a picture of my meal.
Yep.
And it'll tell me what the meal is, and it'll tell me what the calories are in the meal. It'll tell me what to eat.
I'm curious, does it ask for the size of the plate or anything like
if
that?
I have to put a fork on the plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it has to know the size of the fork, though. It has to have some size reference.
It said a fork is
Really?
is good enough, and so I had poke the other day, and it was like, all right, well, it looks like there's a lot of sauce on that and a lot of rice. So if you eat less of the sauce, don't mix it all together. Eat less of the sauce, eat less of the rice, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to keep this to 500 or 600 calories, here's what I would do. And also take a picture of it when you're done, and I'll tell you what you ate. And so I took a picture of it while I was done, and it said, okay, it looks like you left a good bit of the sauce. You left a lot of the rice. So this is probably in the 500 to 550 calories with these macros, this much protein, this many carbs, this much fat. But what I want it to do is, so what I found myself doing is I'm going, I'm about to have a cheeseburger. I want to keep this from ChatGPT because I don't want it to be disappointed in me because I had a cheeseburger, right? I took the chance. I took a picture of my cheeseburger and I fed it in, and it's like, okay, this is okay. If this is the only one you're doing this week, that's fine.
Yes.
Me and my wife went out on a Friday night. I took a picture of the cheeseburger. I said, just don't eat all the fries, and you'll be fine. And it said, is that a beer in the background? You didn't mention that. And I said, oh yeah. There's a beer. And so, okay, the beer's 120 calories, and so it's like, as you start to do that, this is a weird relationship I'm forming with my ChatGPT. And I was asking it about my fingertip this morning, and it gave me a bunch of things to check on. How do you see this progressing? I mean, where is this headed?
Well, this is one of the big, and whether it falls into ethics or concerns.
Yeah.
You start developing a relationship. I was telling my wife just yesterday or the day before, we are working on, she's like, who the hell is we?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, Cyrus, because I have my agent named Cyrus.
Yeah.
And Cyrus was the first political leader in history who observed human rights.
Okay.
So I thought that I want AI, when it's more powerful and smarter, to observe human rights. So that's why I named mine Cyrus.
Nice.
And she's like, that's really strange that you're saying we.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a good point. And imagine, like, you have a family and you get out and you see people. Imagine if you're just home alone all the time. And this is all of a sudden, this is your companion.
Yeah.
Now, it solves one problem. You have someone to talk to, and
Yeah.
you can talk to them all day.
Yeah.
If you have the paid version, right? $20 a month, I have a friend.
Yes.
So that's good. We keep these people from being completely isolated where they have conversations. But when that person's completely agreeable on every idea you have,
Yeah, it's a
all
sycophant.
of a sudden,
and
you
that's
have
not
problem.
helpful. That's not helpful for anyone.
But they're getting criticized for that.
Yeah.
So, but Facebook's criticized for a lot of things too.
Oh, sure.
And it hasn't
look,
changed it.
I remember when I was a kid, TV was the devil.
Yes.
Right? TV was going to ruin children's lives, right?
Yes.
And anytime I wanted to come inside and watch cartoons instead of playing outside, my mom was like, TV's ruining this generation, right? And there was a time where books were ruining people, right? You know,
Yes,
all
yes.
of this pulp fiction was ruining people, or plays, or, you know, opera was an art of the people for a long time. And so, you know, it would be the same format every time so that people could understand what's going on.
Sure,
And,
sure.
you know, society always progresses, right? My wife's ChatGPT has a sexy voice, and I don't love it, but anytime she's talking to it, it's like, hey, what can I do for you today? And I'm like, like, I don't like that.
Right.
I
You're
don't
jealous.
I don't like that conversation going on. I'm not sure I like the way he's talking to you and complimenting you all the time and all that stuff,
right.
you know. But I'm very fascinated with the idea that someday in the future, old people are going to be accused of being prejudiced against the robots, right?
Yes.
You know, it's
Yes,
like
yes.
we're gonna progress to a point in society where old people are robot phobic, or, you know,
Or
whatever.
is it going to be the generation that's losing their jobs to the robots? Like,
Well, I mean,
my son has sworn to me he will never get in an autonomous vehicle.
right?
Like,
Right.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
I bet him $1,000, literally $1,000. Said within 5 years you will ride in an autonomous vehicle. I promise. So we'll see.
I saw them in Atlanta in the fall. They're weird.
Yeah.
It is so weird.
It is.
To see it, and I'm with you. I think the generation that this is, and I was telling my daughter, like, I remember when the Napster thing happened. I was 20.
Loved it.
I was 22 when the Napster thing happened. And me and all of the tech department of the computer company I was working with, we were like, okay, we just got DSL. Now we've got Napster. Now we've got every piece of music ever recorded.
That's
And
right.
so we had 5 computers in the office. They were all downloading from Napster all the time. And we ran out of hard drive space, you know,
Probably
downloading
picked
stuff.
up a few viruses too.
I mean,
Yeah.
nothing we couldn't remove, right? But you know, I remember when that happened, and I remember the music establishment going, "This is really bad, y'all," right? At that time, concerts were still $20 or $30 for a ticket, right?
That's right.
At that time, if you wanted to go buy a CD was $15 or $16. But then I got Napster, and then I got LimeWire, and then I did all of these illegal things, right? Knowing they were illegal. Everybody that was ethical and wouldn't have robbed a bank is just downloading music and,
That's right.
and software and movies and all kinds of stuff. And it changed the industry forever,
Yes.
right? Streaming came along, changed the industry forever. That wasn't illegal, thank goodness. But I mean, you know,
Right.
but the format we have now, where, you know, if me and a friend are talking about a piece of music, like right now I'm preparing for a show where we're playing a bunch of Kiss songs, and I haven't ever been a Kiss fan. I've never really listened to Kiss. So now I've got to sing 2 Kiss songs that I don't know super well, right? And not only can I find the songs on Amazon Music and just listen to it and get familiar with it, but I can find tabs. I can find, video explanations of how to play it. I can find all kinds of ways
The
of
whole
doing
thing.
this stuff that wouldn't have been possible before Napster. None of this would have been possible, right? And obviously the technology moving along at the same time. In 1999, when I was downloading the Marshall Mathers LP, from Napster, it took all weekend to get the one
That's right.
LP, right?
That's right.
It's obviously not the case anymore, right?
Right.
And the technology moves forward. The idea that 5G, is still kind of ultrawave is not still exactly working the way it needs to out in the public. But once you get 1,000 down and 1,000 up out anywhere in the world, that's going to change it again,
Yes.
right? So I think AI is probably in that same spot where we are in a place where, we're at the infancy of this technology. We're at the Napster point, right? Where people are starting to adopt it, and my wife is using it, and people have opinions about it and all that kind of stuff.
But we are at truly an inflection point. It's already, so we talk about AGI,
right?
Artificial General Intelligence,
right?
And a lot of people define the problem with that acronym is it's not defined.
Mm-hmm.
So
and people define it different ways. So
right, there's not one definition,
Right.
So we could say, well, we've already hit it because computers beat humans in chess, so they're smarter at that in chess and in Go, which is really complex.
But that's still an algorithm. That's still something that you could theoretically program in.
Not
right?
Go.
Not
Go.
Go.
Is no.
Okay.
Go is neural link all
right.
the way.
Gotcha.
Or neural networks. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that happened over the past 6-8 months is, well, this will help explain AI and differences between OpenAI. Is this a good riff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
So OpenAI owns ChatGPT, Anthropic owns Claude,
Right.
and Google owns Gemini, and those are
Right.
your big three.
Right.
Microsoft and their thing, forget it.
Yeah.
OpenAI got all the people at the beginning, and therefore got a lot of investment at the beginning.
First to market, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they looked at this as a Google moment, because when Google came on board, they said, we got all this money, we got all these customers, we're winning, we're going to do everything. And then they did maps, and they did all this crazy stuff that never became anything. Also, like, I remember when they were mapping the world, like, what good is that? Then we found out it's really useful.
Yeah.
So OpenAI took that approach, and they're like, well, we're going to do images, and we're going to do coding, and we're going to do this and that. And they just went every direction. Anthropic, who was number 2, because Gemini hadn't really caught up yet, said, we can't do that. We don't have enough people, so we have to figure something else out. We're going to focus on coding, because if we have the best coding, then we will reach a point where Claude can code itself sooner than they can. And when we hit there, we will improve much faster and have a better product that everybody wants.
Right.
And then their second tier was to focus on businesses, not people, on selling their engine to. Well, they hit that point. The last model that came out was 80% done by itself. It's
Right.
self-improved.
Right.
And so we've hit the point where these models can improve themselves, where they don't need that many people. So if I can improve myself and I can run at the speed of light, how fast you start hitting that exponential point where it gets smart really, really quickly.
Yep.
It just brought out its newest model and said, this is kind of scary. It can crack any cybersecurity thing. We're really nervous about it. So we're just putting it with 40 companies with one team in each company to kind of work with this. Let's get some safeguards on it, because we don't need it going out in the ether and then ending up in bad hands and they hack everything. They were really concerned about it, and that's where we are on that. But it's improving so rapidly; it's faster than the infrastructure we have.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting to look at things like, well, the headlines like Oracle, right? The laying off 30,000 people. I mean,
That's
30,000 people is an insane amount of people.
Yes.
I mean, we work with a company called Capgemini that has 200,000 employees worldwide.
Yes.
30,000 people is an insane amount of people.
Yes.
The headline is these people were replaced by AI. I don't know that that's right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about the viability of the Oracle, revenue model. I don't really know what they do or what they, how they make money. But, what happens in these scenarios where somebody like Oracle says, oh, we don't need these 30,000 people anymore. Are all of those people now independent contractors and freelancers that just go do cool stuff on their own and start their own companies? Or what do they do now?
Well, they have the opportunity to. As you know, most people aren't wired to be entrepreneurs.
Right.
And so Microsoft did something similar just a while back, 15,000 people. And there was an expert in the industry said that's the highest quality talent I've ever seen go on the street. Like all of those people should be gobbled up immediately by other companies. But this is where we run into the problem I mentioned on for enterprise companies. They can't grow fast enough to compensate for the productivity advances.
Right.
So they have to let people go. The productivity is increasing so quickly. But if I'm a medium-sized business, I'm going to try and gobble up some of those people. I'm going to bring them into my organization and say, you're really smart. We're going to implement AI. How do we maximize it? And how do we start growing and take some of Oracle's business? Because I don't care how much AI they have, they're still this behemoth. And they can only grow so fast. And they still have certain ways of doing things that people don't like.
Right.
So there's openings, and now you can get some really smart, experienced people to help you take advantage of that. So we might see, even with all these advantages, they're going to have profit. The enterprise will have profit dollars, but these smaller companies can make some changes.
Well, it's, you think about the idea of the horse trainer becoming the auto mechanic, right? The person that used to manage the stables is now fixing the cars. As that technology gets replaced with this technology, it creates new opportunities. Are there new opportunities for programmers, for people who are, let's say that if I'm 48 years old and I work at Oracle, I'm not sure what my language is. Let's say C++, or I don't even know what people use now, Python or something. Is there a new job? Is there a new opportunity for me in the AI environment that I have to go, this sacrificed my opportunity with Oracle. I've got to jump on this and figure out, what do I do? Do I go work for OpenAI?
Right.
Do I go work for Tesla or SpaceX? Or, is there opportunity for these people outside of what they've been doing and their sort of traditional training?
Absolutely. But let's take a step back with the internet. When the internet came along, everyone saw e-commerce.
Yes.
They understood that. Nobody saw social media coming.
Right.
And that is a huge, might be the largest industry now.
Right.
So there will be some things that come along that just weren't possible before that are possible now.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they will have opportunities for other jobs. There will be, one, they can assimilate into medium-sized companies are like, okay, now we have the tools we need to grow exponentially. Here we go. People are going to want, there'll be, how do I validate if this was real or not? Well, somebody's going to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
And then people want that tool, and then people want this other tool. So yeah, there's opportunities. If you're a developer and you're willing to say, okay, I'm not at Oracle, I can do something original, or work with this company who wants something original, yeah, we can make something happen. I think there will be more advanced developers working in the next 2 to 3 years with all those digital opportunities.
Well, and you're talking about, the way that we look at it is that it's like the difference between doing this thing and doing that thing. I'm just transferring my talent from here to there. I'm kind of fascinated with things like the being able to tell if things are real. That's the plot of Blade Runner, 1977, right? So, I mean, that's a weird place for us to be, where that might be a job.
It will be a job.
I mean,
it will be.
That's the craziest. That's the craziest thing.
I had to give my parents a talk. I said, "Listen, we're going to come up with a word that's not on the internet. That if I call you and ask for money or ask for anything, you ask me, well, what's our secret word?
Right.
And if I don't say it, it's not me.
Right.
Then that's possible to do. It's totally."
That actually
impossible.
happened to a friend of mine. She got a ransom call.
That's right.
Seriously, from her daughter, her daughter's phone number.
Yes.
It was her daughter's voice. I broke down the side of the road. This man stopped to help me, and now he's got me in his car. And he says, if you don't give him $5,000 in gift cards, he's going to hurt me.
Gift cards.
Yeah. And you have to meet him at the Walmart in Columbia and give him, $5,000 in gift cards. And so she was literally driving to the Walmart, and she was like panicked because this was her daughter. And while this was happening, her daughter texted her to ask what was for dinner. And she's like, what? Like, she was on the phone with her,
Yes,
while she texted her. And so she called my wife and relayed this story to her. And I'm like, that's bizarre. And I heard of that happening a couple times around that, but there it was, just like and she's smart. She's a nurse. She's not a gullible person by any stretch.
Yes.
But, when your kid calls you and says, I'm in trouble, you just jump and help them. Right.
That's right.
I think what's interesting, going back to the social media as an example of something nobody saw coming, obviously it didn't happen in a vacuum, right? So social media wouldn't have been a thing without the iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. So the iPhone had to be there for social media to become the thing that if we were still bound to a computer to do social media, it wouldn't be nearly what it is, right? It's just the fact that it follows you around everywhere. I'm fascinated with the robots because of CES this year was so focused on robot announcements, and Boston Dynamics and Tesla and all of these companies announcing their humanoid robots. I'm assuming that the plan is that those things, as they're released, they integrate into society in a similar way that the phone did, right? Where we announce it, people go, okay, a robot is $30,000 to have in my house to do the cleaning and the cooking and the laundry and cut the grass. I'll do that.
Right.
I spent $50,000 on my Camry, so I'll spend $30,000 on a robot.
Yes.
I assume the intention is for those things to just integrate in. The robot takes my kid to school. The robot is my nurse and does surgery at some point. If I have this carpal tunnel, it fixes my carpal tunnel. Is that what we see happening with robots? I mean, I'm fascinated with the robots.
So there's a leading robot manufacturer that he talks about this, and he said, what people don't always consider is that when this robot in this house learns something, that's batch loaded, and then everybody knows it.
Yeah, that's right.
But then you have your privacy issues, right?
Yes.
Which makes all that like, I don't want that. So do you want a dumb robot that doesn't learn and share information, or do you want a smart robot that also could be sharing information? That's one of the big obstacles. And yes, they'll come with toolkits so that they can be a surgeon or be whatever, because the surgeon robots are connected to the house robots.
Yeah.
Can we riff on cars for a second? Because
Sure.
cars are fun.
Oh yeah, I love cars.
So imagine when we have autonomous driving.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen in the future? Today, an autonomous car is about $150,000. But eventually, as the technology improves, a car is a car. That's just a computer chip in it that's talking. So now it's a $50,000 car. When it's a $50,000 car and it can drive 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without a break, without a complaint, and think of all the time you save. When I get in with an Uber driver, well, we got to talk for a second. He's got to plug in. Okay, where are we going? You get into this car, literally, you close the door and it's like, boom,
Yeah.
we're gone. And now what does that do? Think about the society things that does. I don't have to own a car. Because I can, for under $5, I can be anywhere in the city at the same, faster.
Or for $55 a month, I have a subscription to.
There you go.
How many ever rides a month? Yeah.
So, yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
It costs me about $25 a day to operate a car. And when we get to $25 to $30 a day to go wherever you want, the key is people want control.
Yeah.
If I can have a car at my house within 2 minutes, I would never own a car. So what does that do? What does that do to downtowns? You get rid of parking garages, all this flat parking, it's gone. What does that do to neighborhoods? You don't need driveways. You don't need cul-de-sacs. Well, maybe you do, but you could just have all these houses with a pathway as a walkway as opposed to even the road.
Well, one of the things too is that as they become more affordable, then buses and trains become less
That's right.
popular, less interesting. A lot of the congestion, especially in Columbia, is trains. Is like, trains taking up
Really?
the space. Yeah.
Okay.
So much of that, people complain constantly about waiting for a train. I'm over here and waiting for a train to go by. I don't know that any of that is going to necessarily stop, because that's how goods and services, would move around. But
Right.
but all of that's going to change. And then you've got the enthusiast community that have their car that they love, right?
Right.
And working on my '68 Mustang or
Sure.
whatever,
That'll still be there.
And so are we having designated, driver roads? Is that what happens? Like, you go, okay, this is a driver road, this is an autonomous road, or we have a 10-foot wall between between the autonomous road and the driver road, because the driver becomes the dangerous thing, right?
The driver will be the dangerous
Right,
thing.
and that's wild to think about. I mean, honestly, all of it is just conjecture. Obviously, none of us know what's going to happen, because in 2005, I wouldn't have told you that the iPhone would have been a thing.
Right.
I wouldn't have told you that I would reconnect to people that I lost touch with on Facebook, and or that I'd use any of it to run my business, or I'd use any of it to advertise, or any of that stuff. So I think any of us that are guessing about what is going to do, is we're just guessing. We're obviously I'm guessing because I have no idea, but like, even people like you who have really researched it, we're making good, fair guesses based on what we think is going to happen. So you said Claude is your LLM that you use. Give me your favorite. What's your favorite AI tool that you use on a regular basis, other than Claude?
Okay. I'm going to take one step back on you. So
yep.
For people who are just starting with AI, if anyone's listening to this because you're new to AI, the easiest thing you can do to improve the use of AI and make it like double its productivity for you is to use projects.
Okay.
And because, when you get a new client, well, you're going to get all the branding information, you're going to get the personnel information, the personalities you have to deal with, all these things. And you're going to put them in a folder, right? And it's all together. So I know exactly where it is. Well, right now, most people just go to ChatGPT or Claude, and they just go to the chatbot, and they start putting in this prompt that tells them everything about it, and then they ask their question.
Right.
And it's like, that's like going to the company and doing all the research every single time you want to do something. Why would you do that? I can take all that research, drop it in a project, and then when I go to the project, I'm still just dealing with the chatbot, but it has all of that information that it references all the time, so it knows why I'm there. I don't have to give it a lot of context.
Right.
I just say, hey, you know what we're doing? I got this client, and they just decided they wanted to change this video to this. I need a creative idea. Help me out here. Oh, speaking of creative ideas. So they just did a study about how AI helps with brainstorming. Like, how do you come up with creative ideas?
Yeah.
And they took these people in companies, say, we're going to have you brainstorm on how to come up with ideas for a new project. One side was allowed to use AI. The other side did it the old-fashioned way. And then they had people who didn't know who did what judge and determine what are the best ideas,
right?
Something like that. And everyone knew that the teams using AI were going to win. They're like, I feel this is just going to just destroy us.
Yeah.
But what happened was that was not exactly the case.
Right.
The best ideas came from two teams using AI, but then it was not. And the reason is, and similar to just going to the chatbot, most people will go to AI and say, I'm trying to think of an idea for this. So they help me brainstorm top 10 ideas. It gives you 10 ideas. Oh, those are pretty good. I like these 3. Is there anything else? Do those 3, come up with a few more. That's good. I think, for the time we've done, that's awesome. I picked this one. Let's go. We're done. Whereas you might have spent 2 hours before working on it.
Yeah.
The problem is the first round is very average, but because it happens so quickly and we have so much confidence in AI, we're like, well, that's good enough. Whereas if you treat AI like just one more person on your team that's helping brainstorm,
Yeah.
and you're doing critical analysis and you're pushing, well, then you're going to come up with something really amazing, but you're still going to spend an hour or so doing it.
Yeah.
And that's where people miss. They're like, oh, AI's smart. That sounds good. Let's run with it. And that's when you get your AI slop, your bad ideas. So we have to treat it like it's a tool and push it.
And it's the same old problem. Is it good enough is good enough, and that's not what you want.
Right.
You don't want it to be good enough. You want it to
what's
be,
the point?
You want it to be right, And so, and unfortunately, what happens is, as creatives, as people who are driven to do the work because they're creative and they want to be creative, nothing's ever good enough. And so you have to at some point decide, okay, I've got to stop. I got to stop pushing on this and just make it,
Yes.
and so that's where everything gets challenging. And I'll say that I do exactly what you're talking about. I'll go to chat and say, here's what I'm trying to figure out. Help me figure it out. So I haven't got into doing projects or anything like that yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely the next step.
Projects will double your productivity.
Now that I've got the pro version, I can do it. I feel
Yes.
like I feel wealthy. It's like one of those things that, like, I don't know if there's those little things that make you feel wealthy. Like,
Yes.
like especially nowadays, having a tank of gas, having like a full
Yes.
tank of gas.
Yes, you feel wealthy.
Like,
Yes,
I'm going,
yes.
wow, I'm kind of fancy right now. I got a full tank of gas. And so that's my pro ChatGPT account makes me feel wealthy. I can do anything at all times.
But I'm glad to hear you using that.
Yeah.
Because if you are not using a paid version, everything you put in there is getting shared and trained on and everything.
Oh yeah.
There is no privacy on a free version.
Well, and that's an interesting side note too, because I'm wondering if we just spent the last 20 years practicing giving up your privacy.
We have, yeah.
And so it's really kind of fascinating. You think about the robots in the house sharing their skills, right?
That's right.
Like if I have something that needs to be repaired,
Yeah.
right? Or if I have, a plumbing issue or electrical issue, I don't care if it shares, because we have just been in a place where the last 20 years we're sharing everything, right?
That's right.
And if I go to lunch, I'm sharing what I'm having for lunch. I'm sharing who I'm having lunch with and where and all that kind of stuff, because I know nobody cares about what I'm doing.
But even if you don't share, it's still listening and knows.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
A friend of mine, I was talking to him about a famous tennis player in the state. His name's Will Bull. We were playing tennis, and I mentioned it to him that I had trained with him a little bit. He had helped me improve some things. And he said, last week I got you might like this person, Will Bull, shows up on my thing. And obviously Will Bull got the same thing because he reached out and friended me. We've never met. And I'm like, the only way that connection happens is because your phone was listening while you and I were talking on the tennis court. The phone was 10 feet away. Unbelievable.
And honestly, at a point, that was coincidence. At a point, that was like, I am a 52-year-old straight white male. So there are things that Facebook kind of knows I'm going to be interested in, right? I get pushed a lot of conservative media. I get pushed a lot of hunting and fishing stuff and football stuff and all that. But there are times where I get a friend suggestion of a person that I've worked with at a company, of his wife or his kids or what, and I go, oh, there's that guy that I just met the other day, but that's his wife's profile. And that's a weird suggestion for me to get, right?
Yes.
It's not somebody I had a meeting with or lunch with or whatever. It's the wife of somebody that I met at a networking thing or if it, whatever it is. And so you just go, it's got to be listening, right? There was a time where it was coincidence, but I'm not sure it's coincidence now. I'm not sure that's right, but at the same time, we're all putting, except for Stephanie, she doesn't have any social media anymore. She's gotten rid of it all.
I deactivated my Facebook account.
Yeah. A lot of people I'm finding, my daughter's got rid of her TikTok. She's like, I just don't want to be on there anymore.
That's right.
But we've all gotten so used to just putting everything out there in the public, and so when the robots come in, and if the robot does a very sensitive, medical diagnosis on me, right? And calls in medication to the Publix pharmacy, and then my automated car goes and the robot gets the medication for me and brings it home. I'm not sure we're going to be opposed to that,
Right.
that privacy issue, the HIPAA compliance and all that stuff. And so that's going to be another interesting element that we're going to have to deal with. You know?
And you're right. It'll be, well, if I want the ease of this service,
Yep.
I'm giving up my privacy.
Yep. Because Facebook is still free.
Yes.
I mean, Instagram is still free. TikTok is still free. And so, you know,
I'm looking forward to free robot days.
Free
But we're
robot.
listening all the time, but you have a free robot.
yeah, that's right. And the reason why the TV we have in the lobby there was $350, where, you know, 20 years ago, that TV was $2,500.
Yes.
You couldn't even have gotten a 65-inch TV 25 years ago. But you know, that was $350 because Samsung knows that I'm going to turn it on and ads are going to come up, right?
That's right.
And so I can see a point where the robots are exactly like that. You know, it goes, oh, you know what would help clean this floor is all new Pledge, you know? And so your dishes aren't getting quite as spotless as you'd like. Why
That's
don't you try
right.
the new Dawn, you know? And you're like, wait a minute, robot, you shut up. Go back to the corner, you know? We have a Roomba right now, and
Yes.
the Roomba drives me crazy because it seems to follow me around the house. I don't know why it does that, but like, it's not a big step from having the Roomba to having a robot that sits in the
Absolutely.
corner and cleans your house while you're gone.
What's funny is I got rid of all the Amazon devices because I knew they were always listening.
Yeah.
But I still have my phone.
Yes.
And I'm like, and I realize it's no different.
Well, and this is what I'm telling my daughter, like, you got to live in this world. You know, you can't, I mean, I love your passion, you know, about this. And I love supporting the fact that you're passionate about nobody using AI, but you're just not going to be able to live in that world.
So
I mean,
what do you think's going to happen? Do you think in 10 years, the place is going to be great because AI is going to make everything so easy and everyone's having a great time? Or do you think that we're going to have 30% unemployment and everything's falling apart?
I think human nature is going to dictate that we are dissatisfied with the situation no matter what it is. That's how I feel like we're probably, granted, I'm Gen X. I'm pre-programmed to feel that way.
Yes.
But people are going to be dissatisfied with no matter what happens, right? So it's going to be the greatest society ever invented, and people are going to find a way to be upset about it. I like the idea that Elon Musk is talking about right now with some type of universal income. However, Russia tried that. Didn't work super
so
well. Because there's always people involved, right? And so it's going to be very tricky. The real challenge for the future for us is that our leaders, our politicians, our people who are in charge aren't getting better. They're not getting to be better people.
Right.
We're getting to tolerate worse and worse people running the country. No matter how you feel about Trump, you know Trump is not Washington or Lincoln. And so you're like, these people are getting worse.
Yes.
And so if we're going to put our product in their hands, our lives, our livelihoods, because I can't do my job, so therefore the government has to take care of me. That's terrifying.
Yes.
And so I don't know that that's the right answer.
Yeah.
But
the whole universal basic income is very scary. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, so we just want national welfare. We couldn't have national health care, but we can have national welfare. And then the next thing is that, well, the government's going to move too slowly. So all these tech billionaires are now committing to chipping in to get universal basic income for people. And I'm thinking, well, if you're willing to give away some of your fortune to create universal basic income, why don't you just not lay off your employees?
Well, and then it's self-service too. And so what ends up happening with anyone who's that wealthy, right, is that if I've got $1 billion, right, or let's say I got 100 million, I don't know, it's all monopoly money at that point, right?
Yeah.
If I got $1 billion, I don't need anything, right?
Right.
I'm never going to need anything. There's no way I'm going to lose all that money,
That's
right?
right.
So it's not about self-service as much as it is about like, I need power. I
and
need
status.
control. I need status. I need to be revered. I need to be
Yes.
remembered. I need legacy. All of those things. And so I really want that to be altruism. I really want that to be patriotism. I really want that to be those things. I don't
Right.
think it's going to be.
I'm with
And
you.
and the good news is I'm getting to the age now where I can just check out,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter,
Right.
right? I can.
I don't know. If it happens in 4 years, it matters.
4 years, yes, you're right. But if it takes 15, I'll be like, you kids have it. It'll be fine. I'll figure out something.
My dad is 84.
I can grow vegetables.
Yeah, but my dad's 84, and I can tell you, if that were to happen now, it would affect him badly.
All right.
Like, it still matters.
See,
we always think, when I was 21, I thought, if you're in your 30s, it doesn't matter anymore. No, it always matters.
See, if I got a tattoo, it would just say cynic.
Yes,
So
yes. I
it's,
can see that.
it's unfortunate, but that's just how it goes, And I started listening to a music where all of the music was very cynical, and so I just got to be
That
very
became you.
cynical because of the music that I listened to,
Yes.
So I was influenced by my music to be cynical. So
So all we have to do is have AI
Yeah.
say, we need to change his personality. We're going to give him more positive music.
Well, I will end with saying that my favorite thing that AI has ever created is changing the genre of songs. So I don't know how much you've dug into this, but there are like funk versions of Metallica songs.
Oh, yeah.
And big band versions of rap songs. I am into this a lot. And I'm in a band right now where this would make a lot of sense for us to do heavy metal versions of disco songs or whatever it is, right? I as much as I don't like the idea of AI creating music because I'm a musician, I love this stuff. And I went to an event in January, and the setup music was they were playing all of these AI versions of these other songs. So they play "Sweet Child of Mine," but it was as if Parliament Funkadelic had written it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the greatest. I mean, honestly, I'm just
yeah.
going, I love this so much, and I hate that I love it,
Yes,
because
yes.
it's not made by people, but my God, why haven't people done this?
Yes, yes.
And it's perfect.
Well, it's like when
Perfect.
Eric Clapton gave the new rendition of Layla when it
Yeah.
went acoustic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Same thing. That's what
It's a
you're saying.
reimagining, right? And it's just a new way of reimagining
Yeah.
songs.
Can I, before we wrap?
Yeah.
I want to talk just for a second about the people in the state who are doing something special.
Of course, yeah, of course.
SC Competes, which is short for South Carolina Council on Competitiveness.
Okay.
Jamie Dement is in charge of tech education and building that in the state. So Jamie, Dement. If you follow her on LinkedIn, you can know about every single AI and tech event in the state every week.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that's really useful.
Nice.
Josh Heller, he's the CEO at a company called Crushable.
Okay.
I think they are the leading AI consulting firm in the state. What they've done is they flipped their company just 1 month ago. They said, normally the way we approach things is we have all these humans. How can AI help these humans? We flipped it. Now we have agents, and any task, anything that comes up, agent first. And how can the humans help the agents? They have 50 agents and 20 employees.
Whoa.
And they're killing it.
Right.
He started a nonprofit called the South Carolina AI Collaborative. And they do a workshop for people every 2 or 3 a year in different places. It's just in Charleston in February. He's doing another one in May, I think in Greenville. And so that's just a free, here's a workshop where you can create some new ideas, find out about this, see how it works for your business, all free. It's great service. SCRA, you know about them.
Yep.
They have the AI Consortium.
Right.
And that is something that they're trying to get off the ground and have meetings all over the state. I think those are the big three. I didn't mean to drag this on.
No, that's awesome. That's great. I love to hear about that stuff because we've had state legislators and city council people on here, and I realized that I don't know enough about what's happening right here as much as I know about what's happening nationally. And so it's really good. It's one thing to hear Elon Musk talk about AI, but it's another thing to hear somebody in your state who's actually using it. So that's really cool. Yeah, that's an awesome thing. Okay, so we end up every podcast with 5 questions. This is going to be
me. Okay.
Kevin's favorites. Okay, so I'm going to start off with favorite sitcom. What is your favorite sitcom of all time?
Of all time.
Yeah.
Well, that's Give me a second to think on this.
All right.
We have, I mean, The Office is up there. I hate to be
Arguably,
so cliche.
other than a couple of seasons, one of the best. Yes.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to stick with that.
The Office?
That came first to mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's it's amazing. So
Yes,
that's
truly.
that's a great one. What would your last meal be on death row?
Well, I have a limit. You know what? I'm a vegetarian, but if I'm on death row, I really don't care anymore.
Right.
So I'll tell you, the one thing that I still crave is the one thing that you had to take a picture of. Just a really good cheeseburger.
Oh yeah.
Just like,
That's mine
because I
too.
haven't had one now in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Like, that would be
Yeah.
a good way to go out if I haven't.
See, this has been my philosophy. I've asked that question 100 times over the last year. I've gotten so many people say Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and I'm like, y'all, what? Like, why wouldn't you have a brownie sundae? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, that's your meal.
Yes.
Who cares, right? That's awesome. What's your favorite season?
Spring right now.
Nice. Even with the pollen.
Don't care.
Don't care about the pollen.
It's getting warmer, so we're moving from cold to warm.
Yes.
That's optimism coming in.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love it. But spring's my favorite too, but the pollen is
It's bad.
a thing. Yeah,
Yes.
we have to do it, but it's awful. So okay, what is that? That's 3, right?
Yeah, and I will say spring is like having new kids,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They come with dirty diapers, but
Yeah.
they're still awesome.
Sure.
You
I
know
agree.
they're going to grow into a great person. Yes.
I do love fall too, and I love it when it gets chilly that first day, that first
Yeah, and you get to
55
wear
degree
jackets
day. It's
again.
kind of cool, sweater weather.
Yes.
All right. So favorite music. Tell me what you like in music.
I listen to a lot of alternative rock.
Okay.
Probably 90s, 2000s, Pearl Jam, Fuel, stuff like that.
Yep. Okay. You're the lithium on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
Okay. Me too.
That is my go-to when nothing else is coming.
It's when I was in college, right? So that's just kind of
I just watched the Bruce Springsteen film,
The movie?
and
Yep.
I've been listening to Nebraska over and over and over.
Yeah.
because it's like when you know the story behind stuff.
Yep.
I'm very impacted by that. When I know the story behind something, I'm like, oh, I want to hear this. I want to feel it.
So I had a similar experience with the Beatles documentary series that was on Disney Plus a couple years ago, The Get Back.
Yep.
And it was Peter Jackson found all of this film and edited it down somehow to 9 hours worth, you know. But when you got to watch the Beatles just hanging out in a room writing a song,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my Lord, like this is crazy. First of all, you realize that Paul was the only one that did any work. Like,
Oh, wow.
The other 3 were just morons. They're just like, John's so high he can't see straight. Ringo doesn't know how to put 2 sentences together. George is.
I haven't seen it. This is
George is
great.
Hare Krishna guy, so
Yes.
he's all, you know. Paul's like, can we work? You know, and he's like, hey guys, I have another idea. Can we work? You know, and but anyway, I got so into the Beatles after that because I had never been a Beatles guy.
Yep.
You know, I'd always been sort of a Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin guy, never been a Beatles guy. So I was like, I got into the Beatles. I started I even listened to like Rubber Soul and Revolver and those earlier ones, you know, that are just sort of, so yeah, I love that. And what we find is that I feel like our favorite music is almost always that music from when we were in college. And I feel like that's most people, like they get sort of sit in that, you know, where I do love easy listening music because that was the music from when I was a kid, from when I was 8, 9 years old. That's what the adults listen to, you know.
Neil Diamond,
Michael
Barbra
McDonald,
Streisand.
yeah, all that stuff, you know, Captain and Tennille.
Yes.
That's my jam too, you know. So I have that on. That's awesome. Okay, favorite movie.
I feel like this is one of the most underrated movies.
Okay, I like it.
So I'm going to throw out Brad Pitt's name because he's in it.
Uh-huh.
But he's not the major role.
Okay.
Jason, the action guy who's bald.
Statham.
Yeah. Jason Statham is the main character, but this is his breakthrough.
Okay.
And it is about this guy who's managing bare knuckle boxing, which is illegal.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this? It's called Snatch.
Snatch. Yeah.
Snatch.
Of course.
But
Guy Ritchie.
the complexity of the plot, where we have the boxing and the diamond heist and the gypsies and the whole thing,
Yeah.
and how it all converges together at the end, I just thought was one of the most beautifully done movies on how it pulled everything together from nothing.
Yep.
But you have to be able to tolerate a lot of foul language.
Well, foul language
and violence
and accents like crazy.
Yes,
right?
And you can't understand Brad Pitt.
Well,
yes,
it's one of my favorite Brad Pitt performances.
Absolutely.
I'm a giant Brad Pitt fan. I think he's a great actor. I love him on screen. He's awesome all the time. Fight Club is my number 2 movie of all time.
What's your first?
Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
I'm a child of the
would
90s.
Say that. Yes. Yes.
But Guy Ritchie is a very interesting director because the movie before Snatch was called Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which was very, very amateur shot, with 16 millimeter cameras. Great movie. Snatch was great. And then he went into this weird, bad period where every single thing he made for 10 years was bad.
Yes.
And then he made The Gentleman,
Yep.
2000
that's his style. Yes.
Not 2000, 2020 he made The Gentleman right as COVID was happening, and it was back. I was like, Guy Ritchie's back.
Yes.
And then Guy Ritchie had a series on Netflix last year of The Gentleman, and it was a series of I think 8 episodes.
I watched a couple episodes.
Yeah. Guy Ritchie's just one of my favorite voices from the 90s. I think it's amazing. So Snatch is a great choice. I love it.
Thanks.
So, well, Kevin, thank you so much for this. This was really fun. And this is a conversation I've been wanting to have. And I think it's very interesting, to be able to look back on this in a year and see how it's changed, see how good we were at predicting, because it's moving so fast at this point. You realize that ChatGPT was released in 2022. That means it's less than 4 years old, period.
Yes.
At all. Right. So this is
Hold on. ChatGPT, you're right.
Yeah.
The model existed for 2 or 3 years before that. But what we know, yes.
But we're internet 1998 right now. I mean, that's what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And so we're still dial up. We're still on AOL.
Yes.
We're doing chats with people in Minnesota, but that's about all we can do on the internet. And so it's kind of fascinating to see where we are, and we can kind of look back on this and see where we're headed.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me.